I gotta tell you, this new Grand Theft Auto, there's a lot. I'm in the minority when it comes to this game, in a lot of ways. I'm in the extreme minority. You know, like I've played all of them. Well, not all. I played from three on. I played a little bit of two, but I played from three on. I've enjoyed them. They are good games, but I have to say I do not understand the hype behind this game. So the way people are going fucking crazy for this game, and I do not get it. The level of insanity that's surrounding it is I just don't think it's justified. They're good games, sure, but I mean like people are acting like this is like the second coming and the end all be all of gaming. It's like the games haven't changed that much since Vice City, San Andreas days. Good stories, yes, good stories, definitely, but essentially they've all been fairly similar. Open world shooter with, lots of vehicles. Detailed, sure. Good stories, yes. But, like they're not exactly revolutionary anymore. They've just been iterations of more or less the same thing. Again, alternating backdrops, expanding maps, good stories. But to me, it's and again, I acknowledge I am in the minority, but to me, it's just another game coming out. So, you know, this the hype and I just don't get it. I've been hyped for games before. The last game I was super hyped for was Hogwarts Legacy, and you know, went so far as I had to get a new computer just to run it because my old one couldn't run it. And, it was something I was planning to do at the time anyway, because, my computer was getting aged out of a lot of games at the time. So I knew I would have to. Hogwarts was the thing that prompted me to do so. So I understand being hyped for a game and being willing to spend money on it, and you know, I myself have no problem spending it. If I felt it was worth it, if I felt it was, you know, something so revolutionary that I could see justifying $100 for it. I've bought special editions of games before, but there's just something about this one. Not just the game itself, but the way that it's being executed. It just feels very scummy to me. I, I do not agree with day one DLC in my opinion. That's day one DLC is bullshit. You know, and like ultimates that are just cosmetic stuff is one thing, but like there are missions that are locked behind this. There are, you know, possibly story elements that are locked behind this. It's not exactly clear. Rockstar hasn't been very forthcoming with this, and I think a very clear statement of what these missions and these activities that are locked behind the Ultimate Edition are would definitely alleviate a lot of the backlash because, you know, depending on what it is, that shit it's not fucking cool, you know? It's like companies need to stop doing this shit, but they're not going to stop as long as people are keep buying special editions. And I mean, people. When I say people are going crazy about this game, like, let me. I got some stuff to show you guys to try to illustrate this point. So let me make sure we're working. All right. So like, here's one thing. Like, according to this post, and I haven't verified this, I haven't vetted this, but this, it's a gold check mark. They're not described as a parody account. So Dexerto is who this is. And according to this, GTA fans are paying scalpers on eBay for the Ultimate Edition for their pre-orders. They're paying over up to $130, and it's like this is pure retardation. Like 100% pure retardation. Like it's a digital game. They're literally not selling any physical copies. Like everything they're selling boxes with codes in them, and that's the closest thing to a physical copy that they're making. There is no scarcity when it comes to this game. Yet these fans of this franchise are so fucking retarded that they are buying it on eBay because they're afraid that they won't get it. And it's like, this is the kind of craziness that is going on, and I do not understand it. You know, and like other people, there's a lot of people that are trying to kind of, justify and cope with the price. This is another post, so I'll go back to my what I said. You know, unpopular opinion. Actually, I'd say this is the popular opinion. GTA should cost more than Mario Kart, 007, Outer Worlds, Borderlands, Death Stranding. I think the better point is that all these games should cost less money, not that GTA should cost more. Yeah. And my point was, should it cost more than, say, Expedition 33 or Baldur's Gate 3? And of course, Norris, I am not a big channel, maybe one day. But, as it is, I don't feel like it should cost more than either of these games. And I was Expedition 33 was either 50 or 60 when it came out, if I remember correctly. And yeah, I'm bad with memory and numbers. Marijuana affects the memory. But it's again, it's just people trying to cope, and I've seen other people trying to be like, well, adjusted for inflation, the last one would be 80 something today, or Nintendo games cost 80 $90 back in the 90s. Like, I don't recall that. I kind of call bullshit on that statement, and like maybe some people had to pay that much. I would buy my own games. I had an allowance. I did chores, so I would buy my own games on Super Nintendo and PlayStation and 64 as I grew up. And the most expensive game I ever recall was Ken Griffey Jr.'s Winning Run at Toys R Us, and it was $72 after taxes. That's the most expensive game I ever recall seeing and paying for. Every other game was below that, usually around the $60 range or the $50 range. And then once we got into the PlayStation and Xbox era and so on, they were like 50 until some asshole upgraded it to 60, and then another asshole upped it to 70. No. So acting like things back then were so expensive and totally ignoring the regulated and decent pricing we had for so long is just disingenuous and bullshit coke to try and fucking justify a game that, again, I'm in the minority, but I don't feel it should cost this fucking much. And I also I don't get the hype. I don't get the justification for the pricing for the predatory tactics. And a lot of the other ways people are trying to justify is like, well, people have been doing this forever, and it's like, and it's been shitty practices forever. Every single time they do it, it's a shitty practice. These skins should be unlocked within game. These small little bonuses should be unlocked within game. These this is how gaming used to be until somebody realized that fucking gamers, unfortunately, were stupid enough to take the stuff that they used to unlock in game and just pay for it out front. Like it's some kind of badge of honor, and it's like it's always been a badge of fucking stupidity. You know, and so, but like I said, people are crazy about this, and it's like when you look at what the Ultimate Edition like, vehicles, weapons, outfits, weapons can be an issue depending on if it's just weapon skins or are they actually like different and powerful weapons. Because these are look like some pretty powerful guns right here. Are these just skins of the same gun or is those two different guns? Car mod shops, that's not that big a deal. Again, customization skins, fine. Special locations. What does this mean? This is something Rockstar needs to like. What does special locations mean? Is there literally going to be like points on the map that I can't go to if I don't have the Ultimate Edition that are just cool ass places to look at? Because that's really shitty. You're literally locking off exploration behind a paywall. That's scummy behavior. So again, this needs to be sorted out. They need to explain. And then additional activities spread throughout Jason and Lucia's story. This is again, this is the biggest one for me. You know, and I'm in the minority again. I'm not gonna be. I'm a PC gamer, so this likely by the time it comes out on Steam, if all this isn't included in a single fucking one price thing, where it's either $80 for all of it or they just charge us 100. And more than likely they'll probably just charge us 100 because they know that modders will just unlock this stuff automatically, buy the $80 version, and go to town on it. So they'll likely just charge us $100 out the gate, and we won't even get the option for the cheaper one. So is what it is. And honestly, as much as I've played, like I said, I've played them all. Most of them I got, secondhand or in like a greatest hits type of situation with the older ones, or through Steam on summer sale for extremely cheap. So like, I will likely be doing the same for this one. We'll see. You know, as a streamer, I'm trying to become a more mainstream streamer. So when it does release on PC, it might give me a different reason to actually pay for it. And as I said, I have no problem paying for it. But if I wasn't attempting to do what I'm doing, I would never even consider paying $100 or even $80 for this game. You know, and I acknowledge, I'm the minority. Most people think that I'm crazy for not being willing to do that. I think they're crazy for, you know, being so in love with this game before we've really seen anything about it. It's like the most we've seen is, lots of these two. And it's like, she's a red flag for me. Like, first off, she looks very black here. Like, you know, she's got no tits. She's very flat. I don't think she's attractive. You know, I just don't. I don't think she's attractive. I have every reason to believe that she is going to be a girl boss. I've seen pictures of Rockstar's former staff when they made GTA 5 and Red Dead 2, and I've seen pictures of their current staff when they made this, and their current staff looks a lot like your typical Blizzard staff, your typical Naughty Dog staff. If you know, you know. So, and then these are the same people that have said that the humor is going to be changed so that they're no longer punching down. Well, who decides what's punching down? Who decides who's the lower tier and who's the higher tier? Who decides, okay, we can make fun of them, but we can't make fun of them? Like, these are problems that are being ignored by a lot of people. And, I could be reading into it too much. Maybe all the devs they have there are legitimately good, unbiased, decent people who will not inject all kinds of politics and other shit into the game. I don't think that's the case, but hey, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, believe it or not. I don't know. I just don't like it, And like I said, most of what we've seen is a lot of these two. I gotta say, he looks gay. He does. He looks gay. He looks like he's a little fucking cut boy who's just gonna do anything that she says, no matter what. And again, maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I am. And this is just another list of all the things that are locked off, and most of it is cosmetic, I believe, or this a random car. Although I think this might be like their like specific car that's tied to them. It would be like locking off Franklin's what is it, the Charger that he drives in 5. It'd be like locking off that, or like locking off Trevor's fucking Jeep thing. That's my understanding of what this is, but I could be wrong on that as well. I don't know all the details. Rockstar needs to clarify this shit. You know, of personalized guns, the Vice City style. That I think is from. Isn't that from I'm not just paying? Okay, it's not a pre-order thing, so it's a separate thing from the pre-order bonus. There's Vice City pack is missing a piece if you don't get the Ultimate Edition. And then Jason's safe house vehicles. So that's multiple vehicles that are supposed to be at his house. So though, yeah, those will be the character specific vehicles for sure. So I guess this is just a different vehicle you don't get. You know, shops, salon, blah blah blah. If I can make this bigger, guess not. All right. Well, this looks like a Shih Tzu of some kind, clothing store, another car. But again, the main problem, these two down here, I believe, are mission things. I believe that the Young Money compound is something that you develop in the game, and there's missions and things attached to it. And then the classic car collection is definitely a mission type thing where you go out and you collect the cars for somebody. I'm not exactly sure who, and the missions that are locked behind it, and then the cars themselves will be locked behind it as well. So it's like those types of things. That's fucking scumbag behavior as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, and it shouldn't be defended. And it's like I don't understand the people who are like, okay, you're okay with paying it, fine. And I know some people are being kind of shitty about, you're a fucking retard if you pay that much. I may have said that a few times too, you know, but it's more to the point of like people are defending it so much, and it's like the people who want to pay less also want you to pay less. They want you to have the same game for less money, and people are fighting back like fucking rabid animals to defend paying more. And it's like no one's saying. I mean, there are some people saying that the game isn't going to be good. I've, obviously said I have my doubts about how good it's going to be, but to say that like everyone who wants you to pay less is fucking retarded or they're fucking broke or they don't fuck like we get it. We understand it. Most of us can afford it. We just don't think the value is there. We don't think it should cost that much. And there's so many people fighting back to say, well, I want to pay this much. I want to pay $100. I've seen people say, I want to pay $120 to $150. I've seen people out there saying, we're lucky it's not $400. And it's like, you don't get the point. It's like they can make their money back in no time, charging $20 a unit. They Grand Theft Auto 5 made the 2 billion supposedly this game cost in about 6 weeks. So this game's gonna make that in less time. It probably already has made it in pre-sale. So like there isn't a justification for other than pure greed. They knew they would make their money back no matter what. But they also knew that with this game they could push the price essentially as high as they wanted because there would be retards out there going, "Well, we're lucky it didn't cost 500. We're lucky it didn't cost 600. They were working on it for 10 years." They weren't working on it for 10 years. They're working on it for 6. And just because it took them a long time to make it, and just because it cost them a lot of money, doesn't guarantee a quality product. I will point you to the Star Wars sequels to illustrate my point. Took a long time to make. Cost a lot of fucking money. Absolute garbage. So, and I said sequels, not prequels. Be clear about that. So, just because it took them a long time and does cost a lot of money doesn't mean that it's not going to be, woke and slop. Is the combat going to be the same? I mean, probably. There's no reason not to copy it over. My understanding, it's built on the bones of Red Dead 2, so it's more or less going to probably be exactly the same combat as Red Dead 2, with just cars instead of horses. The typical crime story. They're going to rob the wrong person, get in some debt, rob some more people, in the process, get on the wrong side of somebody, have to do something crazy to get out from under it. Possibly someone gets betrayed. More than likely, the dude's going to be the one getting betrayed. And then big heist at the end, and whoever's left alive gets to ride off into the sunset. Could be wrong, but that's my guess, as that's more or less what happens in most of them. But, you know, we'll see. And then, of course, there's the final thing that people are most upset about. And I'll be clear, I personally am not going to be super affected by this. I'm playing it on computer. I had no real intention of getting the disc, but I have to say, like, I never really worried about the whole digital versus physical thing. I understood the argument and I never argued against it. I never said that, digital was better. Physical is absolutely better. But I'm lazy and I like convenience, so I go through digital almost exclusively. But then this happened. And this came out the other day. What was it, 2 days ago? Yesterday. It was yesterday. So, as of September 1st, 2026, due to current content licensing agreements, you will no longer be able to watch any previously purchased Studio Canal content. These are movies that people bought with their own money on their own PlayStations that they're no longer going to be able to access. Now, this may have happened before. I'm not exactly sure. Um, I'm not aware of this happening before. Again, it may be possibly before on PlayStation. I think I seen someone on Twitter saying it had happened before. Not sure if that's true or not, but I had never actually seen anything or experienced anything like this. And having seen it, it definitely opens my eyes a little bit and gives me a little more hesitance when it comes to my laziness when it comes to the entire digital uh, marketing and digital purchasing stuff. Maybe I should start investing in a little bit of a physical library, a Blu-ray library, start buying some more physical games, you know, because I like Steam. Steam, the convenience of Steam, and the truth is, Steam, they're all, they're all big time corporations. They're about their money, but Steam has been good to gamers for the most part, for consumers, in my opinion. The return policy is great. They have, crazy access to everything. They do censor more than I would like, but I believe that stretches back more to the payment processors, Visa, MasterCard, and them. I think if they were to fuck off and stop fucking trying to censor everything, then Steam would stop as well. So, but anyway, that's not the point. Is seeing this happen has definitely changed my mind when it comes to the digital versus physical media argument, and not necessarily changed my mind, but has definitely made me reconsider my own personal ways of doing things, and I will definitely be investing in more physical media going forward because you know we always said it could happen. People have always said it could happen, it would happen, that you could lose access to shit that you paid for. And I've always understood that that was a reality of most online purchases. I did it with the understanding of what I was purchasing, a license, not a product. But seeing it actually come into play and seeing them actually taking away things that people purchased, it definitely changes the way you look at it. And I bring that up to bring up the fact that they are not releasing any physical copies, and they're seemingly being kind of shitty about it. They see it's. I don't know if they are intentionally lying about it or if this was just a bit of miscommunication on their part. I tend to not give the big billion-dollar corporation the benefit of the doubt when it comes to shit like this, because this is from geeksandgamers.com. So we'll go ahead and just read from the article. When GTA 6 launched on Thursday, gamers discovered that the physical copy of the game was merely a box containing a code for a digital download, not a traditional disc. Rumors began swirling that this was a temporary measure aimed at combating piracy and that a true physical copy of the game would be released sometime after launch, which is complete bullshit. That doesn't even make any fucking sense. Like, the game being on physical release or physical copy for PlayStation and Xbox doesn't combat piracy. It might combat some random dude at fucking GameStop stealing a copy and putting up fucking gameplay footage before they're ready, but that's all you have to do is tell them to keep it at their warehouses until a certain point and make that part of the deal. As long as they're not physically in the store, you don't really have too much of a worry about that. So, but anyways, back to the article. A Polish outlet, ppe.pl, via Dexerto, that's one of the guys we looked at earlier, reported that Grexdari, that's a cool name, Grexdari, a physical release A physical release insider and video game leaker from Europe said that GTA 6 physical release would come in December. But the most promising evidence came from an X account called GTA 6 Info, which posted a screenshot of a response from Rockstar's customer support, which seemingly assured that GTA 6 would have a physical copy during the following months. And here's the actual post. So Rockstar support contacted me with the physical disc copies available in months following launch. You'll be able to acquire a physical copy during the following months. The current physical pre-orders are for the digital code inbox version. See, I don't think their response actually said that. So let's get in. If my computer, come on, work with me. So here's the actual response from them. Thank you for contacting Rockstar Support. Please note that the current pre-order are indeed just for digital only update. You will be able to acquire a physical copy during the following months. Please note that Rockstar customer service focuses on assisting customers who are having technical issues. Are you gonna give them attitude? This shit right here is fucking attitude right here. But yeah, this is a fucking misleading way of putting this. And even if it was genuinely some person working in IT who didn't fucking know how to phrase it, they shouldn't have fucking responded in this way. And honestly, like, there's no way that this is the one and only time that they've got an email for it. So they should have a prepared response. And if this is the prepared response, this shit is misleading as fuck. Okay? The current pre-order are indeed just for a digital-only update. You will be able to acquire a physical copy during the following months. If this is intended to mean that you will acquire your code in a box in a couple months, then that is not the way you phrase that. Because what this says is physical copy means that you will be getting a disc. That's what anybody who's reading this would assume. So, many gamers were relieved that GTA 6 would seemingly get a real physical release rather than a dressed up digital download masquerading as one, while other users were suspicious. Yeah. And then we'll go down here. So, for what broke today, I believe this was today, might have been yesterday, I'm bad with days. So, according to Hollywood Reporter, who spoke with a source with knowledge of the plans, because all this reporting was false. There's no plans. Well, come on, computer. All right. There are no plans for Grand Theft Auto 6 discs to be printed. However, it seems the email GTA 6 info claimed to have received from Rockstar support was real, though poorly worded, beyond grammatical errors. Yeah, that's what leads me to believe it might have been some random IT guy responding. But, like, again, this can't be the only time they've gotten an email about that. With everything coming out, they should be ready for this. Like, why do you keep doing that? Stop it. According to the Hollywood Reporter's source, the following months mentioned in the email referred to the months after the pre-sale period began, meaning over the next few months, and the physical copy is the same empty box with a download code in it. In other words, the email was essentially the reiteration of the information we already had. So, so it's one of those things. If this is their pre fucking written response, obviously the grammatical errors are that's retarded, but also the wording is intentionally misleading. If this is just some guy responding to this guy's request, whoever the owner of this account is, then they should probably. I'm not gonna say they should get fired, but somebody should give his ass a fucking chewing out. That's for damn sure, for saying some stupid ass shit without approval, and then getting literally caused a massive controversy by fucking saying this shit without fucking knowing what the fuck you were talking about. So again, for the 10th time, Rockstar needs to come out and make statements and clarify all this shit, and that will definitely tame down a lot of the backlash. And a lot of it will get tamed down. There's still gonna be a lot of people who don't think it's worth the money. There's still gonna be a lot of people arguing over that. There's still gonna be people who think that there's a very good chance that it's gonna be a woke girl boss game. There's gonna be a lot of that. But that specifically, the woke girl bossing, that we can only wait and see. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I like GTA. You know, Everything I've said, some people might be watching this and this guy just fucking hates it. No, like I said, I've played all of them. They're great games. But, I don't view them in the way other people do. I don't see them as having, that level of value. I've heard people claim you can play this for hundreds of hours. You could put 200 to put 1,000 hours into this. And like, not. I mean, if you put 1,000 hours into a Grand Theft Auto story mode, that's insane. Now you could probably put 1,000 hours into Grand Theft Auto Online, I suppose, but I mean that's not even releasing with the game. That's, for all we know, that might be a separate purchase. We don't know yet. You know, Again, Rockstar needs to come out and make some statements. But until they do, and until the game comes out, we obviously won't know exactly what it is we're in for. We won't know if she is, if it is, woke, if she's a girl boss, if he's a little fucking cuck boy. You know, I know what my instincts and what my eyes are telling me based on all the things that I've seen. The way the promotional material seems to focus more on her than him. Just him being white, her being a super dark Latina with curly hair, and like half the promotional material making it seem like they wanted her to be black, but they were afraid to because they thought that that would generate some backlash as well, which it probably would have. So I definitely, and this is CJ, and no, no. But anyways, enough of that. My minority opinion on upcoming games. Once again, I acknowledge you know, I'm not in the vast majority. I know there are very few people that are going to agree with me that think the way I do, and that's fine. You know, I'm just here to tell y'all how I think, what I think. I hope y'all can appreciate it.